Oh, I'm getting taped. Hello. Yeah. Am I afraid of the camera? No. Okay. So you might want to get your pens out because we're going to make it like a discussion too. Listen, there's a wealth of experience in here, not just me, guys. Okay. So I'm Judy Ligon. I started out painting in oil. Then I went to acrylics because I was allergic to the oil painting. Then I went through a stage of soft sculpture. And then while I was at Longwood College, which is now Longwood University in Farmville, I discovered enameling. So I was an enamelist for 35 years. Then I got carpal tunnel. I had to stop that because, the repetitive motions, it caused a problem. And I wasn't listening to my body, so I paid for it. But guess what? Polymer clay healed my hands because my hands are constantly moving, right? So I work with polymer clay, but I still work with metals, and I play with wood. I play with so many different mediums. It's a lot of fun. So when I was asked to do a program on how to market your work, it's like, okay, I'm pulling from 1975 on, okay? I'm a member of the Artisan Center of Virginia too, and I've been to a lot of the workshops there. I went to the Woodturning Symposium that was held last year. That was awesome. That was great. I had a lot of fun. So let's just go down the list, and if you have anything you want to contribute, speak up, okay? Because it's not just me. So we all love to do a work. I see beautiful things here, but do you guys actually sell it? Or do you give it away? I don't know. What I make, I want to sell. I'm an artist. That's what I like to do, okay? So, number one, what's your potential customer? What do they want? What do they need? I see a lot of things that come under the need category over here, as well as a want category, okay? Two different ways to market yourself. Number two, what's the price range that the market will allow? Here in Mount Jackson, you're going to have one price range. You go to New York, you're going to jack it up, I guarantee. No, you were talking about where'd he go? I guess he left. Was talking about he was on vacation and he couldn't understand why things were so high.
Yeah.
It was a tourist market.
Sure.
You had nowhere else to go. You're going to jack them up. You figure people, if they can travel there, they can pay the price. That's why they're getting away with it, right? Okay. So what's your brand? Who knows what I mean by brand? Pete. Yeah.
What is it?
What do I mean
What are
when
you
I say
known
brand?
by or
Yeah.
known for?
Mm-hmm.
Shapes?
Yeah. And why is that important?
Repeat customers?
Yeah. Something that's easily recognizable, and they go, I want that, I like that, I'm going back, and then the word of mouth starts
Does
taking
that mean
over.
we should narrow what we do to something that we feel like is, if we're interested in really making sales, find something that's like a signature piece and focus on that mostly?
You could, if that's something that the customer really goes for, and you're going to sell that style again and again and again and again. Yeah. Okay. So like when I talk about brand, when you go shopping like at Lowe's or Home Depot, you know what you're going to find there, right? You know what the quality is going to be. And with the women, it's Bell, Target, goes on, right? I'm Ligon Art, so people know what my style is. They know what they want to come for, okay? Provide excellent images of your creations, of your work. I do a business card. This is my business card right here. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
A little bit.
That's an image of one of the top of my line necklace designs. It's eye-catching.
So you took a
It's simple.
photograph.
I took a picture of my work. You don't have to do it that way. I just did. When they see this, and then they flip the card over, and they see Ligon Art, they go, oh yeah.
Can we pass it around? Or you
Oh, well, it's stapled.
Okay.
Yeah. So where do you want to sell your work? I belong to 3 galleries. I also do the farmers market in Harrisonburg. I used to do shows on a regular basis, which is a lot of hard work. But it's a matter of choice and what you want to do. Okay? So why do I say that? How many here belong to galleries besides Dennis and myself? Ah, start. Okay, you do too. Which ones?
Oh, the Historical Society, Historical Museum
Okay.
and Society in
All right.
Richmond.
Grand Taverns.
That's
I've
good.
got a couple
What about you?
Monticello.
Barn Swallow, WYSIWYG,
Okay.
Virginia
Barn
Maid.
Swallow.
Yeah? Good. Okay. How many here have done a farmer's market? You have, okay. How many just sell right out their front door? Yeah, it's a personal choice. It depends on what you want to do, right? Okay, big question. How much money are you willing to spend on marketing yourself, right? I mean, you can just be a home office type thing and stay there and hope that when you give your work away to your neighbor or your family friend, they get the word out for you. And maybe somebody will want to buy. You know, you can just be that small or you can go worldwide. Does that make sense? It's up to you.
I mean, right there on it, you've got eBay and, you know, several people I know have put something on eBay or on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they went from nothing sales or little sales
Yeah.
to just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And plus, if you have a website,
Mm-hmm.
the maintenance of the website, Fred Williamson said, you know, he spends, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours a day with,
Easily.
on his website,
Yeah.
just answering
To keep it up
questions
to date
and
and
stuff,
whatnot,
keeping
yeah.
it up to date.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not going to do that. That's why, you know, I go to galleries and they handle that.
That's the route I've gone too, but nowadays it's like, do I really want to be known worldwide? Yeah, but I don't know, because of I don't want to take the time to manage my website. I'd rather be in my studio. That's my choice. But I can get the value of a website because I have so many customers going, do you have a website? And I go, no. But just in December, I put myself on Facebook. So I have a Facebook page, a Ligon Art Facebook page, which is a next step to a website. That's one way I get myself out there. Okay?
The good
Yeah.
thing about the page on Facebook is it's public,
Yeah.
and so everybody can see it whether they friend you or not.
Right.
Even without a Facebook account, people can see that page.
Right. Right. Anybody else on Facebook? Good. Yeah.
Have you ever tried Craigslist, and how does that work? How would that work?
I have not tried Craigslist. My understanding of Craigslist is it's used for people who want to, like doing a yard sale, but you're doing it online. So if I'm mistaken, let me know.
There is art, not much,
Yeah,
and it's all very low price.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a great place to buy equipment.
yeah,
What
yeah.
about Etsy?
Sorry?
Etsy?
Well, we can go back to Etsy, but I wanted to say something about taking pictures of your work. You have really got to have some good images of your work, or you're wasting your time posting it on the internet, Etsy, eBay, whatever. If you don't have that image speak for you, trash it, delete it, get rid of it, because it'll speak before you do verbally, okay?
Gail has a web page that's very successful.
Yeah.
And you do
Yeah.
well with that.
Do fairly well with it, yes.
Of course,
I
it
mean,
helps to be an ex-IT guy, right?
Right, yeah, it helps to be a computer
But you know-
programmer.
Yeah, but you know, you mentioned Etsy. I have visited Etsy, and I have seen images on there that have no business being on there. It's like, how in the world are they expected to sell their stuff with an image like that? You know what I mean? So, okay. Prepare a simple, to the point bio of yourself or an artist statement, and have it available with your work. Because if you're not there in person, people are going to want to know a little something about you that gives you that relationship between you and the customer. Just like this does. I started making these 12 by 12 mixed media things for members at Oasis because it gives that personal touch. Steve may not be there, but if this is with his work, just like I have one for, Pete Johnson is the first one I did. And it was really cool. He was turning at his lathe and I got it with the chips flying. I'm going, oh boy, this is it. I'm going to do this for everybody at the gallery. And it makes a difference. People see the artist or artisan and they go, that's the guy.
When they see him at the farmer's market, oh, I've seen his picture.
Yeah, that establishes that personal relationship. I've got one of Dennis's in progress too.
I'm a bigger specimen, so it takes longer, right?
No, I ran out of ink. And I'm donating all of these.
Can I make a comment on this?
Yeah.
Prepare a simple, point number 9. If you think that's easy, try it. And then have your wife or several people read it. I went through several edited
Because they don't
copies.
want your life story.
It's not as easy as you think.
They don't want your
And
life
if nothing else, you should, if you're going to stay with wood turning or another craft, you should do it for no other reason than to figure out what you really want to do yourself.
I'm going to pass this around. This is one of my peers, Polymer Clay. This is what she came up with, and I saved it because I thought it was a good idea. Just like if you're going to do a show, have a good eye-catching postcard. That's marketing, guys.
A couple weeks ago, I went to Judy's show at Oasis, and she did some polymer clay pin blanks. Problem was, Pete Johnson wasn't there, and he had taken his mandrels home because we had planned to turn them.
Yep.
And I think this is something that you guys that are doing a lot of pins, it's wide open. Beautiful things that you can do.
I saw the blanks. They were spectacular.
Yep. Okay, so the trifold and the postcard are going around. Promote yourself through community events. Pete was telling me that you guys have an event at least once a year where you get together downtown here and you actually demonstrate how to turn and you let people play. That's crucial. That is so important. Not only to getting your name out, but sharing what you love to do with the public. And then next thing you know, you get some people going, I want to learn to do that too. Right? And then it just keeps rippling. It's really a good way to get related with people. Take advantage of your special workshops like the Woodturners Symposium. Remember when you first walk in, you've got the gallery on the left. And you see all this beautiful work. And then you're going, wow, and then you hear lathes turning and other stuff going on. And then who was the speaker that was over here in the corner? I forget. But he was amazing the way he did that.
Jimmy Clues.
Yeah. Create a newsletter which you can send out, which provides recent news about what's going on in your life as an artist or artisan. It gets people up to, but you got to keep it simple. Don't load it up with so much information that they don't want to read it all. Okay? Simple to the point. Yeah.
Would you consider a blog in conjunction with that?
A blog lets you tell a story that gets really long or as short as you want. What I'm talking about is I get a regular email from an artist up north, and it's a one-page job. She has an image of her work, and then she'll mention what the event is or what's going on, and it's boom, it's there, easy to read, put it in your folder. The blog is good because some people like to take the time to go through the blog and see who you're connected with and check all that out. But that's a lot of time on the computer, guys. And for those of you who have websites, you have to manage your website, then you gotta manage the blog. Wait a minute, that takes time away from your studio or your wood shop, right? It's choosing where you wanna spend your time. Create an eye-catching display of your work, no matter where you are. Boing! Okay? Provide samples of what you create with their prices. So, say you're in a location and you're not actually selling your work, but you are promoting yourself. Let's go back to the symposium, right? When you walk into the gallery. I don't remember if everything had a price on it, did it?
No.
Some are for
But-
sale, some were not.
But what if? What if everything had a price? So if you had a visitor who's not a woodturner that comes in and they go, I really like that. I get that this piece isn't for sale, but if it was, this is how much it would be, then I can go to that artisan and go, I want you to make me X, right? Provide samples. Always be ahead of the game with new product or new designs and let the customer know what you've got. Now, I'm a creature of habit, and I'm sure you guys are too. But if you're really going to make a difference in the market, you've got to be ahead of your competition and come up with a new design or something. And of course, you'll hope your customers will like it. But keep in mind, you're listening for what your customers are looking for, what they want, and that's how you build up your customer base, right? Whereas if you immediately go change your whole style, you can lose a lot of those people, okay? Yeah.
What do you do with the things that are passé that you're no longer making anymore, and you got a dozen of them sitting back there?
That would come under provide a great deal. Because after I ran all these off, I thought of more things. Yeah, provide that great deal. And word of mouth is your free advertising, right? Right? Okay, develop yourself as a people person, because at some time or another, you're going to be dealing with the public. Now, it's a given that not everybody is a people person. I love people. Or I wouldn't be having fun doing this. And there are those who really prefer to stay in their wood shop or in their studio because that's their comfort zone and that's where they probably should be. But it doesn't hurt to develop those people skills because that's one part of marketing yourself. Okay? All right, this is what I didn't write down. Provide the great deal, okay? Might not hurt to have a few things that are free, like provide some free stuff. That's like a little perk, right? Be available. And above all, provide excellent customer service if you're really serious about being in business. If you're not, it's no worries, okay? And above all, too, have fun. Because if you're not having fun, don't bother. I sent Mr. Marion a link for Manta tips that I recently started getting in my email. I ran across it doing something else on the internet, and it's really good. So, did you pass that on to them by chance?
I'm going to
The
right now.
Manta tips?
Hang on a minute, let me just do that.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you decide what to charge for your
Okay.
You mentioned that there's different markets. Of course, but you have some history there starting. How do you start?
Well, like anything, that's the big question. The rule of thumb is what the materials cost you, your time, so it's material cost, and how much do you want to pay yourself an hour? And then as you go around, you're going to see what other people are charging for their work too. So if you really want to be in competition or, can't think of the word, if you want to play the game, you're going to have your prices somewhat on the same level. But I mean, can I use you for instance? Dennis used to be a full-time member at Oasis Gallery, and that meant he was taking home 80% of his sales. He went to associate membership, which meant he would take home 60% of his sales. Guess what? He jacked his prices up.
Stop turning more.
He jacked his prices up, and he found out his stuff would still sell at those jacked up prices, so he could take home what he wanted. So it's a game you play. And it depends on where you are. I mean, you could take your big bowl. How much would you ask for it now?
I have no idea. Several $100s.
That's a
$400?
goal.
500 at least.
At least $500-600. In New York, you can ask $1,000 for that.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Or even if you were to go to D.C., Alexandria, D.C., you could still jack it up.
Well, you'd get mugged down there. I mean,
Well, it's like when we started turning the Monticello poplar, when Fred Williamson finally got us, everybody some. I'll use Don as an example, turned some bells.
Yep.
And the price they put on them at Monticello Poplar, or at Monticello Gift Shop, Don said, oh, they'll never sell at that. But poor people don't go to Monticello to buy like gifts. And I think Fred's got some bowls up there over $1,000.
Yeah.
Got some of his website.
Well, I mean, just like the Stonewall Jackson prayer tree things that you all made, and that sold at
doubles the price.
Oasis. You know, people kept coming in once the ball got rolling that they knew that's where you could get some of that product. You could ask almost anything, people would buy it. But when I was working at Oasis, I would listen to certain customers, and I would listen for what price range they were looking for, and some ladies just wanted to spend $35, $45, no more. Others didn't care, but guess where they were from? Up north. Yeah.
When or will we ever have an artisan center sales again, like we used to have?
You mean
The
like the
Artisan
Artisan Center, Virginia?
Will we ever have a sales facility again?
Let's build one. I'm serious, guys. Why not? Let's build one.
What's
You
the
know,
dir-
the last exit going out of Harrisonburg, there's a big tract of land there for sale. And I remember the sign was saying you would have water and all of that. And I'm going, Artisan Center.
Well,
Of course,
see,
it takes
Stanton
money.
at the Frontier Museum is supposed to put in something like Tamarack at West Virginia has.
Really? I
They've
hadn't
been,
heard that.
oh yeah, they've been dickering that back and forth for 5 or 6 years. They got $1 million in
Virginia
this.
gave them $1 million.
Yeah.
Who
to-
did?
The state of
State of
Virginia
Virginia.
has pledged $1 million or over that to
You're
them.
kidding.
No.
Wow.
Well, but the matching piece hasn't been matched.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well, yeah,
that's
let's do
why,
it.
you know, I don't know, that the Artisan Center, the previous administrator of that was said, you know, well, it'll be an enhanced art center instead of what we had before. But that was where, as far as I knew, for the state of Virginia, people came from all over the country to Winsboro.
Oh, yeah.
They stopped in off of 64 once we got the big facility. And
Well, yeah, remember where we were?
Yeah.
We were right there at the exit, and then somebody bought that piece to
Somebody
build a
tore it up.
shopping center, and then they had to move. They were bad location, so they died. But yeah, I'd love for us to have our center or a Tamarack. I've been wanting that
Who's
for
the director
years.
of the ACV now? What's her name?
Sherry Smith?
Sure, isn't it?
If you want to, can I just
Yeah.
add something? I think last spring, and I forget where the information came, maybe it was through Oasis or somebody sent me a site to tie into the Bridgewater Community College. There is an artist studio there, and they do a lot of different training. And she gave several classes, kind of elementary, for people just getting into, do I want to market my product, and then can I take it from there on how to do it. I took a couple of classes. I don't know that I would agree with some of this stuff, but I'm just kind of old and hard-headed. But if you want to kind of run through and decide in your own mind or improve on what you're doing, I found it very beneficial, and it is significant cost.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it seems to me it's one evening, or you can take your pick. There's about 5 different levels of classes. And Deb Booth also does the
she did
photography, digital photography classes there. So if you have some interest in making decent photos of your items, and I need help in that, that's a place to go too. And try it out for size. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. It's whatever, right?
The pricing is the hardest. I've been in it 7 years, still have a problem with it, and it's a learning process. In downtown Charlottesville, you couldn't sell that ambrosia maple to save your life. Harrisonburg can't keep them in stock.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me.
Questions about market saturation. The turning area of woodworking has gotten to be fairly prolific, and I think by the nature of Woodturners reaching out, helping others along in the craft, you're getting more and more and more and more. I wonder if sometimes if we're approaching a saturation on the market where it's almost like, not quite dime a dozen stuff, but it's getting to the point that everybody's brother can turn a bowl or
That's what they said 40 years ago about photography.
But that's a good point. But part of the demonstrating is educating our public.
Yeah.
And in that educating, you show them what is a quality piece, what isn't a quality piece. I mean, just have the conversation of, boy, we've come a long way from where we started as a beginning Woodturning to what we're doing now. And you're talking about oversaturation. So if you were a member of Oasis, wanted to be a member of Oasis Gallery, for instance, and you brought this, we'd say no. If you brought this, heck yeah. Because we don't have anything like this. Nothing. We have plenty of stuff like this. This is what I'm looking for as exhibit chair. I want something different. Yeah, it's wood, but it's pow. Okay? Does that help answer your question? Yeah.
We were at Skyland last month. They have a beautiful sales area.
Yes.
There wasn't a single piece of pretty wood turning there. There wasn't any wood turning there. There's a lot of venues. And again, like Judy said, if we're all going to do the same little 8-inch bowl, sure, it's saturated. But if you do the exquisite stuff, and I don't think we're pricing high enough for the work we're doing with the frail tree. What did Don say? How many times does he glue the stuff while it's dry?
Yeah.
It's a bear to work with.
I know, Pete told me it's a bear to
but we're
work
not
with.
charging enough for it, $20, $30, and we're tickled.
Yeah, but Pete, the thing is, I don't think this area could handle that price point. If you were to sell in Alexandria, DC, New York, you would get more than what you want.
In New York, they wouldn't want anything to do with any Stonewall Jackson.
Right, that's right.
No, I know.
Go south.
I know. So you gotta, but you were talking money, okay?
I know.
Now let's talk the
Take a
other
glance
aspect.
at it.
This is a perfect market for it, correct?
Sure.
But it doesn't mean it can handle the price you want to get for it. Yeah.
Can we?
I don't know that that's true. I keep raising my price.
I know.
And I keep talking to Don. I said, Don, it's too cheap. Raise your price. Either
Yeah,
that or
it's
make a
funny.
lot more bells. One of the two.
Yeah, it's
Judith, I
funny.
think the other part is the advantage of the prayer tree is that we have a story that we can put with it.
Exactly.
So it's not just a piece of white oak.
Yep.
It's a specific piece of white oak that came from a historical tree.
And that's part of the
And
marketing.
we're marketing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and when
Yeah.
it's gone, it's
The,
gone.
right. So it's rare, it's one of a kind.
And it's gonna go away.
Yeah,
very shortly.
exactly, and that's perfect for marketing for you guys.
Can we talk about taxes and income and reporting what you buy and having a business versus just craft and all the ramifications of actually selling things?
Sure, if somebody can help me with
Sherry
that.
has a very good class on
Yeah,
that
sure.
at Bridgewater. There's a whole class on that whole process. How do you start your business, how to register your business? Do you really want
Well,
to do it?
whatever money you make, you have to report.
No.
No.
No?
$1,000
What's the
a
price
year
rate?
is the break.
What'd you say,
How much?
$1,000?
$1,000.
Okay, I thought
And
it
the
was.
insurance company, I've talked to several, says if you sell less than 1,000,
You don't have to report.
you don't have to go to commercial
Right.
versus homeowner shop.
Mhm.
If you go around there, you better have commercial insurance.
Yep.
When I had the barn fire, the first adjuster within the first hour looked at the pictures I had on the wall. He said, "Wow, you sure did a lot of stuff." Yep. Really pretty. Yep. He said, "I bet you got a lot for them." No. Are you sure? Oh yeah, I just give them away. The last thing he said after 2 hours was, "You sure you didn't sell a lot?" No.
Yeah.
He said, "That's good because we could have turned your claim down."
Yeah.
That really
Well,
shocked
yeah.
me. And we
That's
talked
right.
about it.
So we're talking here about prices and this and that, but before you know it, you're in trouble because of taxes and insurance and your business and who knows what all. And we just started out turning a few bowls and want to sell them once in a while. I don't want to be in some kind of a business.
You don't have
keep-
to. You don't have to. What I was talking about is for those who really want to be in business and people who have been in business already who know some stuff, I don't know, pertaining to wood turning.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is basic.
But whatever money you make, you
If
have to
you-
report an income tax, right?
I do a quarterly tax return and then I do my tax at the end of the
Well, there
year.
you go. I don't want to do any
You don't
stuff
have
like
to.
that.
If you
don't
sell
have
at craft shows and things
not a
like that, you've
requirement,
also got to
Charlie, it's not a
collect sales
requirement.
tax.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that either.
then
quit
don't
turning.
do the shows.
Quit selling. Don't
Quit
sell.
stealing.
Then you don't have to sell anything.
Give it
If
away.
you
But
sell-
if you do sell, you have to
Well,
collect
I
tax.
give them away and then I accept a
Gratuity.
If you sell at studios or galleries, then a lot of times they collect the sales tax and you don't have to worry about it.
But
They
But you
collect it
still
and
have
pay
to-
it.
But still at
if
the end of
you-
the year, you have to report that.
If they
Your
pay-
earnings, but not the sales tax.
If they pay you over $500, they have to give you a 1099.
Yeah,
Then you
Right.
have to file it. Now, that gets you in another little glitch. You file it because you got a 1099, but you don't have a business license. It comes around the
Whoops.
corner from the state back to the county, and they go like, how come you claim this money
Yeah.
on a 1099?
and you don't have a
Where's your business license?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, now, when I started, it cost you $200 to apply for a business license, and anything, I can't remember what it was, almost zero, you had to pay an additional fee.
Yes.
Now, if it's less than
That's
$25,000.
based on your sales.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's less than $25,000, you don't have to pay a license fee, it's automatic.
Culpeper County doesn't require a license fee, but you still have to register.
Yeah.
And when I set out my sales tax with the state of Virginia, very shortly I got a letter from the Culpeper County that said I had to register my business.
Well,
See, I want none of that. I want absolutely none of that.
You don't have to.
You don't do it.
You
Don't
don't
sell
have
it
to.
yourself.
Right.
Give it to me.
I don't
Charlie.
either.
Yeah.
I don't sell.
I got my business license back in, I think it was 75 in Farmville, and I was registered through Cumberland County. So when I moved here to Harrisonburg, I had to transfer everything through Harrisonburg.
yeah, I had to go from one side of Fishersville to the other.
Yeah.
To change the address, had to go to the county, be sure I wasn't having customers come to the house since I
Oh,
lived in
golly,
now
yes, me too.
well, I had to have the Board of Zoning Appeals when I got my first business license come out and review, did I have enough parking spaces for this, that, and that? No.
Yeah.
I don't sell anything at the house.
Yeah.
That's what you have to tell me, but anyway.
The town of Mount Jackson decided in July that I had to pay a minimum water and sewer bill because I said, I don't have a business.
Yeah.
But we know you're back there and we see the activity.
Oh, for heaven's
And we
sakes.
don't even use a minimum, and I'm now paying 3 minimums for the bottom part of that building across.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
I
Okay.
fought that for months.
The bottom line is, if
Just
you're gonna
one
go
way
into
for them to
business,
make money.
you're city and or county, but you have to check with them, and it's not a big exercise.
Yeah.
They just want your money, that's all.
Exactly. They just want our money.
I put two names up here, the Manta, M-A-N-T-A community,
That's cool, guys.
and
do that.
that's got a lot of tips and stuff that Judy found for us. And I'll get this, make sure we get this there. And then the other name I put up there was Keith Tompkins. I took a class from Keith Tompkins down in Roanoke last spring, and he's got a website that has a lot of ideas about design. He has a lot of pictures on there. It's one of the better websites that I've seen. He makes bottle stoppers. He uses the Root Niles bottles, the Niles stoppers, and he puts martini glasses on the tops of them.
Oh, cool.
And he can't make enough to sell at $250 each.
And that's
And he
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what he talks about, and what you'll see on his website, is the evolution of the idea from when he and his brother-in-law were down in New York City at an exhibit, and they happened to stop for a drink, and they saw the little neon sign that had the martini glass. He says, I bet I can make one of those and put it on a bottle stopper. And that's where it started. Until now, he's made, I don't know how many, but he has cherries, he has olives, he has all kinds of things in these martini glasses. And he fills them up with a little clear plastic, and he does that. And it's a bottle stopper that's that tall, and it's a little thing on top that's about that tall.
Yeah.
And because of the unique character of these things, because of the shape and the design quality, and because of the detail that he puts into these things, that's what makes the difference for him. So it's up
Yeah.
there. So.
And I call that mass production, whereas I do one of a kinds. So there's the choice there
That's
too.
what you were saying a while ago about the different bowls.
Yeah.
You have to know your area, which is one of the things you have here. If I took that big bowl to Virginia Made Shop beside Rouse and Stanton, they wouldn't even let me in the door.
Yeah.
They don't want anything much over $60. Occasionally I'll sell something for $100. But the little brown bowls that Don has,
Yeah.
they'll sell like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Now you take
'Cause
them to
that's a price
WYSIWYG
point
or
people
Barn
can
Swallow,
afford.
unless they're Stonewall Jackson Prairie Tree, they don't want them. They want big stuff, and as far as shiny, Barn Swallow doesn't want anything that has a shine on it.
I wouldn't
They
either.
want to feel the wood.
Right,
Yeah.
they want it bare,
Yeah.
almost bare. Other galleries, if it doesn't glisten in the light, they don't want it.
Yeah.
So it's really
Find your market.
find what you're dealing with where you are. I mean, like I say, I've got 3 galleries, and all 3 of them have a little bit different need.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I do is when I'm checking out galleries that I think I might want to join, is I'll go around. Does it fit me? If it doesn't fit me, I'm just out the door.
Yeah.
If it does fit me, I'll go back to my car, get my stock and my information about myself, and I'd say, this is a really cool gallery, and I think I'd like to tell me more about how I can join or how it works here. And if they go, yeah, then I show them my stuff and I leave it. So there's ways. Yeah.
And there's, like Don was saying, I mean, Peter, there's a lot of galleries out there that don't have any woodwork in them.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd love to.
And all you have to
Gotta
do is,
find 'em.
Yeah.
it depends on how involved you want to be in making things.
Yeah.
That's why, like I say, that little thing with the nut, I've had those nuts for 4 years, and finally got around to making something. Whether I continue at that vein or not, but that little piece probably took total time, I don't know, 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get $20 for it? Not around here, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. Around here,
10.
well,
15.
10, 12, 15.
Yeah.
I'll give you 10. Can I put my name on the bottom?
Yeah.
I'll give it for 20.
But like the thing with the pins and the
You gotta have
bottle
a sense
stoppers,
of
by the
humor.
time you buy your kit, you've
Yes.
gotta get, $25, $30 for it.
Yeah, which goes back to how do you
And not too
decide
many
how much
people
to
are
charge?
gonna go out and buy, when they can go to Staples and get a box of them for 15 cents. Piece.
Right.
Yeah,
Jack Circle does those steel model trucks,
Yeah.
fire engines, the whole bit.
yeah,
He and I sat down one day, he had just finished a fire engine that has 1,200 parts.
Woo.
Some turn, some not.
yeah,
We figure if he's really lucky, he'll make $3.50 an hour.
Yeah.
yeah,
And he doesn't have your cost of wood because he came from an old school.
right.
I'd say we better keep our day jobs. We're not
Yeah,
gonna
right.
get rich.
Well-
That's another thing that a symposium that I went to with David Ellsworth and I can't remember the other two top woodturners, that there's art and there's craft.
All right.
And woodturners per se are considered craft. When you get into the three-sided bowls and carvings and natural edge,
That becomes
you're starting
art.
to get into craft, and into art.
Yeah,
Fred Williamson has done some fabulous stuff. Tom Evans does some very unique, not functional whatsoever. They've got holes in them and everything. So again, that's what clientele are you trying to work with?
Yep.
Somebody wants a cereal bowl or a salad bowl, that's one thing. They want something to display, that's the price again.
and sometimes you just have to make it and put it out there and just see
That's
if
how you
it'll,
find
if
out.
it'll
Yeah.
take.
That's how you
Yeah.
find out.
Nick Cook out of Atlanta is a very famous turner. He does exquisite artistic work. Nick says 50% of his income comes from commercial columns that they turn for buildings.
Oh, that's one I call bread and butter.
Yeah.
Robert
Yeah.
Roseanne,
Yeah,
who is well-known, teaches all over the country, says he does 1,000 Christmas ornaments with the finials. He said
Yeah.
at the end of the year, I don't even want to see a
I
finial.
bet.
But it's $30 to $35 a piece. Gives him his
Yeah.
money.
So you have to consider
Plus he's
that.
got a wife that's a teacher too.
Well, yeah, but it's all part of the game we play, isn't it, Dennis? Yeah.
Well, Charlie does a lot of craft shows, and, how do you price your items at craft shows? If you call it a craft show.
I add up my stuff and I figure I want to make, I just do it for a hobby, I figure I want to make $40 an hour, so I add, if it takes me 15 minutes, I add $10. If it takes me an hour, I add $40 to the price. If they want to buy it, they can. If they don't, why,
Yeah.
don't bother.
You don't mark up your materials, you actually figure it out.
People ask me if I take less all the time, I say, no, I got the one price and that's it.
Oh, good for you, because I hate we're gonna give you a discount kind of thing. It's like it invalidates what we do. Yeah, this
Well, it makes it from
the
artist
sale.
to commercial.
Oh, gee,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, one person told me that if you have something in a gallery that's not selling, raise the price.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
I've played that.
I've
game.
had
It works.
bowls my wife wanted, and I said, well, I'll put a high price on them, so they won't sell, and they'll be the first thing to sell.
Hey, Dennis, remember that Palmer plate bird I did? That everybody called the chicken? I had a high price on it and sold. Dan was upset.
I did
but
that
it
at the
sold.
Artisan Center.
Yeah.
They had a show, and Liz said, I said, I want to put it in a not for sale. She said, no, it's got to have a price on it.
That's
My
right.
wife wanted it.
Yeah,
And I put a ridiculous. I
Uh-huh.
mean, 2 weeks later, it's gone. Some guy
Exactly.
in New Jersey bought it.
yeah.
I'm-
Yeah, it's funny how people are.
still
They
in
think
trouble.
if it has a huge price on it, it must really be good. I don't know, it's a psychology game we play with people. Any
It's
other
a-
questions? Sorry.
It's certainly a learning process, dealing with the various galleries. You get into quite a few different personalities. You got a Charlie to a Peter to a Norman, quiet. Some of them, you have to figure out who you're dealing with. My offspring always said, Dad, you need a website, you need, wait a minute. I'm a little bit like Charlie. There is a limit to how much I'm going to turn here, and I like dealing in a local area. But what I'm leading up to is you have to know the gallery owner who's in charge. You need to understand what they're looking for, and that's not real easy. With one exception, all of those other 6 gallery, of the 7 places I'm in, 6 of them, they don't want email, they don't want all that trash, they don't want any pictures. If I bring any pictures in, they better be in a hard copy album. They don't have time. So you really have to figure it out. And again, back on pricing, you just have to turn it, take it in and see what it'll sell for if you're interested in doing it. To make that step, the first step, take in a bunch of your turnings, find a place, doesn't have any, just walk in there and sell yourself. There's no big trick to it.
That was the one thing with the Artisan Center.
Yeah.
Those ladies that ran that
Oh, yeah.
knew the artist, and they would watch the customers. And if somebody stopped, started looking at it, because most of my stuff has a story behind it somewhere.
Yeah.
And I pass that along to the salespeople, and they say, "Oh, well, I turned some stuff from the Hebron oak in Swope, Virginia, and I wrote on the bottom of the Hebron oak." But I told the clerks, this is from a so-and-so tree. This is from Thomas Jefferson tree. That's from Stonewall Jackson's tree. If they get into your history on your pieces, because when I go to Barnswall, Mary Ann says, "Oh, lovely, everything's got a story behind it," and you tell her, and she remembers it, and they pass it along to the customers. Oh, that came
But
from
that only
so-and-so.
works if those salespeople are there day after day after day. If you're in a situation like Oasis Gallery where a co-op where different members are working every day, it will not work.
No, it won't work.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
This is
Thank
fun.
you very much.
God bless.